Tell me about yourself, how you got into this crazy business, and what led you to Fort Smith.
Yeah. So, oh God, where to start? So I'm originally from Durham, North Carolina, and went up to play collegiate softball at the University of Connecticut, and thought I was going to do sports psychology or be in college athletics pretty much my whole entire life. Loved the business. Sports psychology was not it. Me and my teammates were pretty messed up as athletes. So I think trying to help anybody else just was not in the cards. I was like, this is not for me. Went in and did athletic marketing and absolutely fell in love with it again. Thought I was going to be in college athletics pretty much my whole entire time. And from there, I went to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, right after Katrina hit, which was pretty integral, I think, spot, not knowing at 22 years old, kind of what it would do and how it would play into all of this. But spent my 1 year there as a graduate assistant in their athletic department, really just helping the community rebuild and get away from deaths and destruction and kind of just turn their attention to something completely different. And these athletes coming in from across the nation, helping them give back to a community that was so horrifically devastated during that hurricane. And again, at 22, you don't know what you don't know. So I was like, okay, great. Like, whatever, had this experience. Let me keep going on with my collegiate athletic career. And so I went up to the University of Louisville for 3 years and was a part of phenomenal growth. Went to a couple of bowl games, Final Fours, the first time ever for the baseball team to go into a super regional and to a College World Series, and hosted NCAA and Big East. I mean, just these incredible moments that I had there. Met what was then my husband, and we went to Indiana University up in Bloomington, Indiana, for a year and a half. Decided I needed to get out. We had my daughter at that time, and 80-hour work weeks between two of us just wasn't working because he was with the football team at the time. So I jumped out, did hotel sales. Again, you don't know what you don't know. I was like, okay, great. Not my passion. This is not really what I want to be doing my whole entire life, working in hotel sales. But hey, I get it. Like this is a rough industry. And I appreciate our hotels so much more after having that experience. So fast forward, we moved to Jacksonville, North Carolina, with Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune. Again, he was working with all marine sports. So he traveled the world working with sports. I stayed back and ran the sports commission for 4 years. And again, you look back at Katrina and what I did in Hattiesburg, and you look at my time with hotel sales, and it kind of all came full circle because it was my opportunity to work with the hotel community and with the community itself to really build sports tourism in Jacksonville, North Carolina. There's no CVB there, so I kind of wore both hats, and we're in a lot of conversations about tourism in general, which again, great experience, great opportunity. 4 years passed, we owned and operated events, increased staff from 1 to 3 people, had a budget of like just under 200,000 to finally finishing right around 400,000. So I was like, okay, we're doing great things. But my hometown was calling of Durham, and had the opportunity to start the sports commission there underneath Discover Durham's umbrella in partnership with the city and the county. So stepped into that role. It was brand new, never started anything from scratch. So it was a great opportunity to get marketing up and off the ground and what our brand was and who we wanted to be, and really just guide a lot of those conversations about what events we wanted to attract in and how that mirrored the community in a way that the community would buy into and support, which we had great success. Hosted the first ever national championship in USA track and field there. Bid on ACC baseball again, hosted that event, was launching esports. I mean, just a lot of great momentum. And then I realized, wow, I am known for sports. And that's not what I want to be known for my whole entire life. I'm more. And, I think working underneath the Discover Durham umbrella kind of showed me so much more of what CVBs and really destination marketing organizations can do. And so I lucked out. Ray Hoyt at the time, who was president and CEO of Tulsa Regional Tourism, was looking for somebody to lead their sales efforts with their CVP and their sports, but they wanted somebody, or he wanted somebody a little bit more sports minded, because sports is heavy in Tulsa. So it's rare that you get someone that comes out of the sports realm and jumps over to leading the CVB side of the house. And again, very, very fortunate that Ray had the thought process and the trust in me to do that. So I moved in January of 2020, and the world shut down in March of 2020. And, we went remote. I think I still, even to this day, spent more time at my house than I did in the office. But yeah, just got an opportunity to run the sales and the CVB side along with the sports. Ended up taking over the events and experiences team. Ended up an interim role for about 7 months for a little bit. So overseeing sports and sales and events and experiences and marketing and administrations and our Office of Film, Music, Arts, and Culture. Like I have experienced so much in Tulsa, and when Fort Smith came open, it was just a great opportunity to kind of step away from something big and massive and kind of come into a smaller community, which I greatly value, especially having a young daughter at 13. Like I want to have that time with her and her kind of grow up in a place where there's a sense of community, not 18 different high schools in the area. And it was just so much momentum in Fort Smith. A lot of what I saw in Tulsa, just on a smaller population size, which was super and interesting and incredible for me to now get a chance to be a part of and lead.
So what would be your short-term goals, other than I want to go see and meet as many people as I can? What do you see as what would you like to see and done in a short-term basis?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me right now, I mean, it's seen, and I understand, like, that's the boring stuff. I just talked to somebody else and said, that my timing is impeccable as always. It's short term. It's all the administrative. It's making sure our budget's ready for the next year. It's making sure the staff has solid goals and expectations, so that they know what they're responsible for and how it fits into the broader picture. And keeps them motivated to do their jobs. And I think past that, it's making sure that internally we have everything we need to validate why we're being good stewards of the money given to us. So is the data there? Are we doing the right things? It's analyzing our grant program, who we're partnering with, who's missing from a lot of those conversations. I think is sometimes the most crucial question you can possibly ask. So making sure that we're kind of well-rounded and we're surrounding ourselves with people that can help us move forward. I think externally, it's getting a really good idea of what is the plan long term, and what does that look like from all the different stakeholders? And then are we the right ones to kind of help connect those pieces and puzzles together into one sheet of paper, and kind of what the game plan is going to be? Or are we just championing whatever, the city's doing or whatever the community is doing? So kind of better understanding and knowing what our role, are we quarterbacking, are we championing, or are we just kind of there waiting in the wings, ready for whatever may come our way? And again, I think kind of knowing what our role is in those different projects is going to be critical to our success moving forward.
You mentioned the timing. Your timing is impeccable. You come at a time when the Marshall's Museum is still freshly opened. There is talk of a sports complex along the riverfront in downtown Fort Smith. I know that sings to your heart. What part do you focus now on the Marshall's Museum, on the convention center, on these projects downtown? How important are those right now?
So anytime you have that much growth happening within a community, especially from our standpoint, I mean, our job is to elevate and expand, like just promote everything. And the more we have to promote, the better. I mean, that's more opportunities to be in media, That's more opportunities to get in front of a different audience. The sports person may not necessarily be the U.S. Marshals audience, who may not be, the boutique restaurant down the road. I mean, it's just the more you have to offer, the more you can really cater to the different audiences and clientele that can come in. So I think for me, the convention centers, obviously, CVBs are typically around heads and beds. I mean, unfortunately, that's just kind of a key metric that we're all known for. It's so boring. People typically don't get it. But it's what we do. So I think the convention center, a sports facility, anything that can drive that overnight stay on a large scale, we're recruiting those events, we're recruiting those meetings, who potentially could also then turn around and be another visit, like we want them to be the repeat visitor. So I think, those core facilities with our hotels is going to be, kind of number one, it's like a 1A and then a 1B. 1B is the attractions. It's the, hey, we've now got a rain out that's happening of this event, or I've got, I need to host a special client dinner. Where can I do that? So then you start looking at the attractions and those unique venues that can really round out the experience of the visitor. And that's where the U.S. Marshals Museum comes in. That's when, our restaurants come into play, and we want to make sure that we're highlighting them in the right way and we're connecting the right people to them. We're not going to go after just any piece of business. I mean, I want to make sure we're going after good quality business for our community, people that are willing to pay good rates, or, hey, we need lower rates here, but their food and beverage spending is through the roof. Like, hey, that's where our money is. Like, let's do that. So I think it's a 1A, 1B on everything that we do. And because at the end of the day, it's rounding out that visitor experience, and that can't be done with just one really great facility to host the meeting in, because that's not what people talk about. They really talk about the community at large. So we got to make sure that the community at large can support that.
Speaking of that, I know a lot of talk during the Marshals Museum and everything that went along with that seemed to focus a lot on what was going on in downtown along Garrison Avenue and that part of the city. How much do you now want to focus on all of the city, including out at Chaffee Crossing or out south of town, or even the north part of town?
Yeah, so we're beholden to the stakeholders, and when your budget for the most part comes through occupancy tax, that's not just downtown properties. That is properties across the whole entire community, and each section and each area has something unique. I'll be honest, I love the Chaffee Crossing area. I mean, it's great for business, but I love what they're doing out there and what they're trying to do with livability and restaurants and kind of this walkability community. I think is super, super cool. Connections of trails, I think, is going to be critical. I mean, when you can connect all the different areas through a trail system, if you're an outdoorsy type person, like, okay, well, now I can ride my bike and I can get to the different areas, and that creates a different lifestyle and a different visitor experience. So I think when I'm thinking about tourism and what we're trying to accomplish, it's not going to be just downtown. Now, hoteliers, and again, I was one of those. I was an outskirts. I ran sales for an outskirts of Indianapolis, and I would always say, God, Indianapolis, they get all the attention, but we're still paying their occupancy tax, and I'm paying for and stuff like that. One of the things I always talk about is, if we're doing our job correctly, even in the downtown area, we create compression. They sell out in downtown, and we force people into the surrounding communities or into the next round, and vice versa. When, the other areas are doing really, really well, they create compression into downtown. So I think it's going to be that give and take of what does that compression look like. But ultimately, at the end of the day, each area has something unique to give and to provide. And I think that's our job to make sure that we're promoting that the right way.
Wow. Let me be one of the first to welcome you. When do you start?
Ashleigh 18th. It's like right around the corner.
And I'm sure you're going to be on the ground running as soon as you get here. Ashleigh, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck, and I know we'll be in contact a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.